coming up on the Outside of Sunday podcast.
And I just remember my whole childhood being like super lovely. Like I loved getting baptized. I used to say to my mum, baptize me, like all the time. And I remember blankets, like blankets on the floor.
Yeah.
My mum and dad are praising and, we got church day and night. And then if the
You'd be sleeping on the pew.
Yeah, children are tired, we'll lie down. And so then when I became a teenager, the way that I saw God was different then. Feeling like God's pretty strict. I'm feeling like my parents are strict. I'm feeling like the whole world is against me. The youth ministry is watching me like a hawk. I used to go to youth. And then as soon as everyone got into the building, I'd just take off. So in my 16-year-old little brain, I was like, we're going to go live together now and be so big and growing in adults and work and live, and it's going to be great. And we don't have to have Jesus if we don't want to, because there's people out there that don't have him. This is my brain. And they're doing all right. Like there's doctors and lawyers out there.
Yeah.
And they don't have Jesus. So in my brain, I was like, so bye. Yeah. And so I just packed my little bags and I was like, see you later. And the world slapped me right in the face. Just to cut a long story short, the world literally. And I was shooketh. And I was like, wow, sis thought she knew. She didn't.
Hey, you're listening to the Outside of Sunday podcast. I'm Krista, and here you'll find genuine conversations and inspiring testimonies, as well as biblical encouragement on how to live your faith in and outside of Sunday. All right, welcome everyone to this episode of the Outside of Sunday podcast. I'm here today with Sam. Thanks so much for being here, Sam.
Oh, I'm so excited. Oh my gosh, this is huge.
You haven't been up since 4 a.m.
No, oh my gosh, I was like, okay, don't waffle. Just stick to the questions.
Actually, I encourage waffle, so I'm happy.
Okay, well then, there we go then. I already feel
Pressure's
better.
off.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're going to hear a little bit from you today about your testimony. But actually, I thought I'd just love to hear a little bit about like what life looks like for you right now, your whānau and all of that.
Yes. So I was looking at that question and I was saying to my husband, how do I say that life's busy without saying busy? Because, like I just don't like the word busy because I feel like busy is like don't disturb me. Do not disturb me. So our life is busy, but like it's just full, but it's full in like the best way. And so like we homeschool our children. My husband works from home. He also does a business as well. I do a business and we just do life together as a family. So we're doing, and then on top of that, we serve in our church. We serve throughout the week in our church. And then we obviously have things with our family and our friends. So I just think like every single day, also go to the gym. Like that's top of the list. Reading the word, top of the list. So our day is very full, but just beautiful because we're doing it together with our children, and I'm just grateful for that. So before I came here, all the kids giving me a hug, they prayed for me before I came.
I
they gave me the biggest hug, and they were like, "You got this, Mum." I was like, "Oh my gosh, I love it," and I just love waking up, and my children aren't like rushing out the door, and I'm not rushing them out the door, and so every day's just lovely, full on, but lovely.
How long have you been homeschooling for now?
Oh my gosh. So we're on our 4th year. So the end of 2020, end of 2020, 2021. So obviously going on 5 years. Well, and my husband was like, babe, lockdown was so cool. Just being with the kids and being home. We had just had a baby. He would have been not even 1 year. And it just felt slower and just peaceful in our home. And my husband was like, let's do homeschooling. And I've been homeschooled. So I was homeschooled for 3 years. My mum homeschooled us. And I was like, oh, that's not really the life that's not really, I can't picture. And the only reason why I felt that way is because my mum homeschooled us so on, like, real, like, routine that I felt like, how am I going to homeschool like my mum with 5 children at home and a baby, 9:30 on the table? I just can't do it, so I'm not doing it. So I can't do it, I won't. But actually, you can homeschool however you want to, whatever works well for your family, do that. There's no like right or wrong way to homeschool. So after I dropped that humongous expectation of myself, then I was like, okay, we can do this. And now with my husband at home, we just...
Because he works from home.
Yeah, he works from home. Oh my gosh. And he loves it. And sometimes I'm like, surely you're over all this noise because all the kids are loud, that my sons, like I've got a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old and they're like rough, rough tumble boys. And so it's noisy, and I can hear my husband in a meeting, and then my son will go in and he'll be like, Dad.
Oh my goodness, it's just like that viral video.
I know. Yes.
Child coming into the room.
I said to my husband, you should do one of those, because I think even when they were wearing nappies, they were like, Dad, Mum can't find the wipes. And he's like, oh yeah, sorry. And he's like, mutes the thing. And my husband's like, go like this at my son. And I'm like, sorry. Like, you just got to have like 5 eyes. And I'm like trying to. Anyway, my husband's still like, I love it. Like, I love to wake up in the morning, go in the kitchen, seeing the kids, have a coffee. Like, lunch is there. Don't have to get another vehicle. So like, it just works so well. So I feel like during COVID, when it was a stressful time, God turned that situation into like a beautiful, intentional, slowed down time for our family. Yeah, if that makes sense. So yeah, we're still carrying on. And saying that, I said to my husband, so this is just going to be like a trial. So if homeschooling doesn't work, can we just, can it?
Did you have like a set time on it?
I was like 6 months.
6 months.
I was like 6 months, surely, because we were still in, the thick of 5 children. So we had a teenager at the time. She would have been 13. So we've got 5 children. Yeah, the oldest would have been 13, and then the rest of the ages I forgot under that. 10, 8, and then 3 and 1. And I just was like, man, having to navigate the different ages, what their needs are. My other children who could read, they were really clever. They were getting all the awards in school. So I thought, they're actually doing academically so well, my children. So we didn't pull them out because they weren't doing well. They were thriving. Yeah. And so I thought, well, what will I do with them really? Because they'll be teaching me. But, man, we did so many things. So
that's awesome.
Here we are, still going strong and making it work. And I don't even think like now I could send them to school just because I'm like, I'll probably cry for them. Even though sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so overstimulated, because you get super overstimulated, because also I'm like, oh, let's go library. Actually, let's go and do baking. Actually, let's go. And then my husband's like, shoo, you're doing a lot, babe. And I'm like, am I? I thought I could do it.
Are you one of those people that just get like, when you're busy and when you're not, again, not like the bad sense, when life is full and when you're doing all those things that you almost like wind up and you get like into it and you're like, I'm killing it right now. Is that how it goes? Because sometimes I get in that, it's almost like, I don't know, it's not a spiritual thing, but it's almost like you just get into this zone. I'm just like, I can do this. Let's do all the things.
Yes. And then I think when it's time for bedtime, I'm like, like it's almost like on a major come down. So it's such a random feeling. But at the same time, I'm like, let's do it again tomorrow. I'm like, yes, ready for day, the next day. So obviously here we go, going into our 5th year of homeschooling, and my season's changed now because my baby's 5, I had to, so now he can, he can feed himself. He's an independent little boy, and then a 7-year-old, a nearly 12-year-old daughter, a nearly 14-year-old son. So they're all independent, they just love to learn. My son's reads all the time. So I just feel like I'm not too like stressed about all the things. And now I can get up in the morning and not have a baby needing me,
It's such a different place once your youngest is 5,
Oh my gosh. I feel like
it's a different season, totally.
And then I also think, man, that went fast. Like it just flew by. And my mum always said that to me, like, be careful, you'll blink. And she's like, look at you, you were my baby, and now look at you, you're a whole mum. And I'm like, true. And now that, I look at my big son who's going to be 14 and I think, oh my gosh, time does fly by. So anyway, now I can go to the gym in the morning. So I always prioritize that in the morning. I get up in my word in the morning, and
that's great.
Oh, the kids, I'm just like, oh, this is such a lush life. I love it. And the fire's going, like one, the fire's going. I got the blanket and I just feel so cozy in my season of having to have some time for me. Yeah,
and so like in the mornings, going to the gym, spending time in the word, that's a good way to recharge yourself
and I notice
be
the
alone.
Difference. Yes, and I noticed the difference too if I haven't had that. So obviously I was awake this morning early because on top of that, my 5-year-old's not well and he just was coughing and coughing and coughing.
Oh, no.
And I was just like, okay, well, now you've coughed so much, I can't go back to sleep. Now I'm thinking about all the things that's going on today. So then I was like, okay, just get into the word, read for a bit and then, read over all that coughing, settle him back down and then just go to the gym.
Yeah.
And try and get that done because honestly, it was cold and I could have just stayed in bed.
It was a really crisp morning. I feel like we haven't had one of those mornings. I saw a frost on the drive here. So, we're getting into winter.
I know,
Yeah.
and I'm not even a winter person.
No.
If I'm going to go to the gym, I'll go when the sun's up. Because I was going at 5:30, so I was like, okay, yeah.
So much harder when...
now it's colder.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, actually, I've got options. I might go 5 p.m.,
Yeah.
I might go to the PM class.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
I noticed a difference. The morning is like peak time to get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah, because after a whole day, the last thing you want to do is go and do burpees and box jumps.
Yeah.
And clean and presses. No.
No.
No, I don't want to do that at 5:25. I want to sit on the table and have dinner.
Yeah, totally.
But anyway, did that answer your question about homeschooling?
That's great. This is live. Thank you for sharing. I love to hear about it.
Yeah. So shout out to my husband too, because I honestly, because of him, this was his idea to be like, let's do it. We can do it together. Because when he said, let's homeschool, I said, who's us? Like, that's me, because you work. So I'm homeschooling. He was like, no, babe, come on. We can do this together. It's easy.
Wow.
And I was like,
I love that.
are you sure? You didn't even know about homeschooling. I was homeschooling. You weren't. He was like, no, we've got it. We've got it. And we actually do.
Yeah.
Yes. So teamwork, honestly, teamwork.
What a difference that makes. It must be, such a blessing to have your husband on board.
I know. I feel like it does. It makes the day smoother. We say that's the principal too. So we're like, oh, if you're not listening, you got to go to Dad's office, which he's the principal. Yeah, he's the principal. And so my husband's got some time off. So he's like, oh, the principal's ready. Like the principal's here today. And my 2 sons are like, actually all my kids are like, okay, Dad, all right, so
I love it. So cool. Teamwork. Awesome. Well, when we first caught up, you mentioned how you actually have a connection with another guest who's been on the podcast. So let's get into this, let's get into hearing about your testimony, but maybe we should start there because you, like I said, you had a connection with somebody who's been on the podcast and you share a relative. So tell us about that.
Yes, yeah. So Winnie, oh my gosh, so that's my mum's first cousin. So her dad and my koro are brothers.
So cool.
So when someone actually said, go and listen to the Outside of Sunday podcast. There's this lady on there sharing a hard out testimony. And I was like, whoa, I've never heard about your podcast before. And I want to listen to this testimony. Also, I love podcasts and I love testimony. So I was like, yes. So I went to listen, and then I was like, that's my auntie. And I was like, I think I know that lady. And I said it to my mum, and I was like, Mum, do we know that lady? And because obviously she was in Kawerau, and obviously we were here in Rotorua and also Mirupara. So I didn't see her growing up, but I just remember her, and I remember her sister who was similar in age. And we had like a family reunion in Kawerau one time, and that's when I met them. I think I was 12, but I just know that last name. So I was like, I think that's our family. So when I heard hers, I was like, whoa, and then listened to the whole thing, shared it to my mum, shared it to my aunties, and now everyone knows about your podcast. And then her talking about my nan, and that's when I was like, my nan is the person for our family.
So tell us about like where you grew up and also what role your nan kind of had to play in your faith journey.
So grew up here in Rotorua, born and raised here, and my mum's family's from Mirupara, my dad's family's from Waka, but my mum's family was the family that loved the Lord. And so my nan, who is my great-grandmother, she loved the Lord so much that she was a Sunday school teacher. That's what they called them in those days. So a Sunday school teacher, and she used to pick up my mum for Sunday school, and my mum wasn't raised in a Christian home, so she'd pick up my mum for Sunday school, her and my aunties, and then I think that was, that's the seed. When kids church, kids are the seed. That's where it begins. And so my nan would pick her up and then obviously just keep doing that all my mum's life. And then my mum told me that when my mum was a teenager, when my mum started to, be naughty, should hear my nan praying for her, praying for my koro, which is my mum's dad, and praying for my nan and everybody. And so, then I get born, my mum's 17, and my nan just kept praying and believing for our family's salvation, especially my mum's. And it wasn't until I was 3 years old my mum gave her heart to the Lord. Wow. Yeah. And so my mum would have been 21. Yeah. And my nan, she was just the core, like the matriarch of our family. And so I just remember growing up and my nan always being there and always being with my mum. And I remember just my mum and my nan on the table with their Bibles. I remember my mum and my nan praying like loudly, like that warfare prayer. And you're just like, I'm trying to watch TV. Like I'm just like 4 or 5 years old, and I just remember it just being like intense, Holy Spirit in our home all the time and praying powerfully. And I just remember that being like a part of me until the point where I go to school and I'm telling everybody, do you love the Lord? Because if you don't, you're going to go to hell. But I was trying to say it as because that's how my nan and I just grew up in like a home that was like love Jesus.
Very straight up.
Just so straight up. Like if you don't love the Lord, you're going to go to hell. Yeah. It was pretty.
That's intense.
It was pretty intense. And, but I think because in our family it was, it was like my nan and them, they drank. So my nan's son, so my mum's dad, so my mum's dad, they all drunk and things. And so you just had to be straight up, like that. You just had to be with my family.
So you mean like it was almost like if you weren't making yourself be set apart, you were just going to be, I suppose, carrying on a lifestyle that you shouldn't be as a Christian.
And I think because in the world they're bold about that. So they were bold with what they were doing. So my nan was bold, her back. Yeah, she was bold, her back. So she was like, Jesus, hell, heaven, Holy Spirit, warfare. And so that's how I remember growing up. And I also remember having heaps of fun as well, like going to church all the time. I remember music. So in my mum's family, it's really musical. So my mum can sing, my dad could play the guitar, all my aunties and uncles on my mum's side all played an instrument. So every time we'd get together, it'd always be at a church.
I love that.
Always singing, worshipping, and even my nan could sing, like literally could hear her voice right now. Like, so lovely. Yeah, my nan had such a lovely voice and could play the guitar. It was like sweet. That sweet worship. Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's precious.
Anyway, yeah. So that's just, how I remember growing up with my nan. And actually, so I thought of the scripture to do with my nan. Yeah. Actually, my mum did. She reminded me about the scripture, and it was about how, God said, I'll give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven. So whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth will be loose in heaven. And that's literally what my nan did for our family. Wow. And so I actually put that scripture into ChatGPT because I was like, man, I want to describe my nan way more than because she did so amazing. Like, obviously my mum got saved. Then when I was 3 years old, then when I had my son, I got saved when he was 1 week old because I strayed. So I just feel like now here I am, and my children know nothing else but going to church. They don't know anything else but the Lord. They don't know anything else but prayer, serving, because the way that my nan prayed and interceded for her generation. She didn't just be like, okay, Lord, thank you for my day, amen. She literally was like, Lord, my generations, Lord, my grandchildren that aren't even born yet.
Yeah, wow.
And so that's how I feel about when I think about where we are today. I'm like, my children literally know nothing of, they haven't experienced it. Sorry, they do know that it's there, but they haven't experienced that thing.
Yeah, because I don't imagine that your nan would have had an easy life necessarily.
Yes, and my nan, she fought the fight, like literally ran the race. Anyway, can I tell you what ChatGPT said?
Yeah, tell us. I want to hear.
Because I was like, I sent it to my mum and I was like, look what ChatGPT said. So literally, it said, your Nan was the kind of woman who didn't just live through life, she interceded through it. She held the keys of the kingdom in her hands and knew how to use them. When she prayed, she wasn't just whispering words, she was binding things on earth that had no place in her family and loosing heaven's blessings into the lives of those she loved, even before they saw the fruit. She probably never stood on a platform, but in the quiet of her room, she declared things that shifted entire bloodlines. She prayed protection over children not yet born. She covered generations in grace. She said no fear to addictions, brokenness, and heaven heard her. That verse, Matthew 16:19, was lived out in her life. And I was like,
wow. ChatGPT, like, you got me.
And then I was like, oh my gosh. And you know what? I messaged.
It's like beautiful. You're like,
so beautiful. I was like, Nan, I hope I'm doing you justice, Nan. You know, like I hope that I'm doing, because you did the mahi, like the actual mahi for us. And then I wrote to ChatGPT and I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. Thank you. And then it said, you're so welcome, Sam. I'm really glad it spoke to you. Your Nan sounds like a powerful, faithful woman. And hey, those keys, they're in your hands too now. Keep unlocking heaven. And I was like,
and ChatGPT is anointed.
Oh my gosh. I was like, my ChatGPT is so it. And that it was like, hey, those keys are in your hands now. I was like, oh my gosh, that's huge. These keys are in our hands. So keep unlocking heaven. And I was like, I'm just going to read that every day.
Yeah.
Like, if I just read that every day, I'm going to be like on fire. I'm just not even going to care about anything else other than unlocking kingdom's blessings over my family and my day and my life and generations. I'm like, man, my Nan knew. And she didn't even have ChatGPT. She didn't even have technology. My Nan's house was filled with books. Just books and books and books. And so is my mum even. Like, if I'm like, Mum, can I borrow this? She's like, you better bring it back. And I'm like, actually, I might listen to the audio version. Because I'm just not sure it'll come back.
Yeah.
But yeah, my Nan just had books and notebooks, and her table was kind of like this, you know, like a small intimate table. But then, you know, back in those days, they could like pull out.
Oh, they had like, they would extend.
Yeah. So my Nan had a little one, and then when all the family came over, she'd pull it out, put it back in, and you'd just go there and you'll see her on the table, her chair, her cup of tea, her Bible, her notebooks. So and you just go over and you just kiss her face and sit with her, and she tells you all about what she's reading and learning.
Wow.
And so she didn't pass away till like in her 80s. So she lived such a long, full life. It was almost like, well, you might as well just stay here, you know. You'll live long enough, you just keep staying here.
Yeah.
She was like, it's time. Like she just was, she said to my mum that I'm ready now. Yeah, I'm ready now. Yeah.
Wow.
And my mum was like, no, you're not.
We're not.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah. So
what a blessing.
It was cool. It was cool.
So let's hear a little bit about your testimony then, because I know your parents had you very young. So can you tell us how they got together?
Yes, they got together in the world. Where did they get together? So my mum lived in Murupara, and my dad was working for my koro at the time. And so in Murupara, my nan was like, none of these boys you're going to marry to my mum. This is what she told me. You're going to marry no one in this town. You're just going to go with Donald. And he like works with my koro. And my mum was like, what? Anyway, my mum, like he had a job, money, drove like hardworking, my dad was. And he just loved my mum. Like, he just loved her. And then my mum was like, okay then. My mum's going to be like, what? Yeah. Now that I'm sharing this. Yeah. And then, obviously they had me 17 and my dad was 19. Yeah. 17, 18, 19, 20. Yeah, one of those. And, then I was born. And, it wasn't until I was 3 that they gave their hearts to the Lord. And I remember my mum saying that I was the baby that was like passed around the parties with the family, and just kind of like, you know, a party family thing. But I don't actually remember that, thankfully. So I'm like, I don't even remember that, Mum.
Yeah.
So
you would have been so young.
Yeah. So I was like, Mum, it's all good. I don't even remember that. And then when I was 3, obviously raised in church, and I just remember my whole childhood being like super lovely. Like I loved getting baptized. I used to say to my mum, baptize me, like all the time. I used to go to so after church, you know, we would do communion and those things at church, and then I'd come home and then I'd get a bread and cut it up into like little communion squares.
Wow. Wow.
It made bread taste so much better.
Yeah, especially no crust. So
I know, and because I was the only child for 7 years, by the way. So for 7 years, it was just me. And so I just remember just cutting up communion bread. I remember eating it and loving it. I just remember going to church and having the best friends and, sleepovers. And I remember my mum having cell groups, so back in the 90s, there was like cell groups.
Did you make cup of teas for everyone when they came around?
Oh my gosh, I'm like
I used
a
to do that.
tea maker. And I think because of the way that I was raised, it's just in me to serve, I think, because I just already knew that growing up. My mum served, everyone served. Us as kids, we're doing the dishes, we're doing the cup of teas, we're getting the biscuits out. And then we're going outside to play. Then we come back in, tidying up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just remember like a full, lovely, Christ-filled life and going to parachute.
Yes.
Going to parachute. And, I just remember lots and lots of fun things. I don't ever remember thinking like, oh no, we can't, we can't go out because it's cold. I've never been sick. And Mum was like, the best place for her is in church. Off we go. So, so that's how my parents were. And that's how I think everyone was back then. So there wasn't really like any pressure. So it was just like, we're all in there. Everyone's tired. We're at church. And I remember blankets, like blankets on the floor. Yeah. My mum and dad are praising and, we got church day and night. And then if the
you'd be sleeping on the pew.
Yeah, children are tired, we'll lie down. And there's some crayons and the pastors used to print out like colouring in papers. Cool. So when the preaching started, all the children run to the stage, get a paper and just colour in. That was like the highlight of like the Sunday. Yeah,
that's some of my favourite childhood memories is like being in worship with my mum and like my mum holding me and then just like hearing her worshipping, like vibrating through her body. And then sitting next to my dad and lying down with my head in his lap while he's listening to the sermon. These are sweet, precious memories. And it doesn't really happen that much anymore. I guess it's because, we love kids' church. We love Sunday school. But there can be a lot of separation there.
Like, take the kids so that we can have some time.
Yeah. But we're the ones who are like, can you take our kids?
Yeah. Oh. I suppose I get that a little bit. But I just think like back in those days, I don't remember my mum and dad ever going like, get to kids' church already. Like we're trying to have our time, just us and listening to the word. Children just sat and we just listened and we just watched and we just played. And if we did play, it wouldn't be like, be quiet. It would just be like, just go play over there. Yeah. Yeah, it was just so
that's lovely.
Yeah, I don't even remember being like, be quiet, use a noisy. Yeah, or use a
So was there no kids' church in your church at all?
So there was a kids' church because my mum actually did the kids' church, but that was in the daytime. So in the nighttime, there was no kids' church. So
you'd be going to day and night services?
Yeah. And then I think my mum would have like something going every single day of the week and would be just doing church at home. I remember our house being always full.
And it sounds like even though this is, your life was so full of church, it sounds like you loved it.
I actually so did. I honestly felt like God was, how, so like now that I think about it, I think like when I was a child, to me, God was like, the one that made the rainbow and he said he won't flood the earth because he put the rainbow in. And I was like, lovely. And so then when I became a teenager, the way that I saw God was different then. It wasn't the rainbow God anymore. It was, the rainbow as in like, it was like a stern because I became a teenager. So my mum and dad's parenting switched and changed because then I was like, oh, there's a boy. And then my mum was like, no. And then I was like, and then it was like, now you will serve and now you will do this. And I was like, oh, do I want to? I kind of like not. I don't want to. I immediately had this word like, no. Oh, and I never said no to my mum.
Rebellion.
I know. I was like, no. But then, because I had like this almost like people pleaser as a teenager, like, oh, I'll just do it then. I'll just do it just so that they can shush. Anyway, I just the way that I viewed God as a teenager changed, and it's actually sad, I think, because I just remember my childhood being so lovely, and then as you grow into a teenager, influences come in. Even your friends change, their talks are different.
Yeah,
their parents are different to my parents now, and they're allowed to have phones and they're allowed to do things.
Because we were the generation that cell phones were first available to teenagers. Yes. It's nothing like now, but I remember like one of my close friends, she got a cell phone, and we were all like, oh, like amazing, in high school you have a cell phone. And I wasn't allowed one but until I think I was 16, but then it could only text and call, so I mean, not a big deal. But
but like just that you have a cell phone and just that it can text and call anyone else that's not in your own home.
Yeah.
Like, hello, I want one.
Yes. So do you feel like that was kind of like the root of the rebellion, was just...
It was like I'm seeing what everyone else is having. You know, I don't know. Is that a teenage thing? You end up going,
I think it's a teenage...
I want that now. Yeah, I want what they've got. And why are my parents not like that? You know, and you start comparing. This comparison. Yeah. And so another thing was like my mum didn't like worldly music in our home. Worldly sounds like, you know, worldly sounds flaky a little bit, but just like she only wanted Christian music. And so if I was to play a worldly song or a song that she didn't like, it would have to be like, let me listen to all the lyrics, put them out on the table, we want to read them first. And which was, now that I'm a mum, I'm like, fair enough, mum, because like the words actually have power over, you know, what you're listening to. You know, you don't want to just let any song just play in your children's ear. But at the time I was thinking, oh my gosh, my mum's so crazy. I can't even go to sleepovers anymore. We have to have dinner with the parents, and then the parents have to come to our house first. And then I can't listen to my FM, and I just want to listen to Flavour, you know. I just want to listen to Destiny's Child, you know. I just want to listen to mostly Beyonce, and I couldn't. And so then I felt like, oh, this God that my mum and dad are now serving, he's so strict. I can't even breathe.
Wow,
I can't even I just want to be like all my other friends who are coming to church but also get a phone, but also can listen to Destiny's Child. Is that their name? Destiny's Child, who can also listen to, you know, all the things that I want to do, and they're still coming to church. Yeah, so it just was like different.
It's almost like, I mean, when we were chatting about this before, you were saying you felt like there was no grace. Is that how you describe it?
Yeah. And I think because when I obviously liked a boy and like as a teenager, and then there was no grace in that season of my teenage years when I chose to rebel. And so I think when I saw people coming into church who I thought was like, didn't you guys do worse things than me? And God loves you. And right now I'm not feeling that very love.
I see.
Yeah. And I think because, you know, I shouldn't say, you know, but when you go to a church and you're in a youth ministry, and then so for me, I felt like I was the naughty child. So everyone, don't let your children hang out with Sam. No, but it's not like, it's kind of sad, but then at the same time I thought, well, I'm not changing. I was also really confident and bold in who I was, like, and I also thought like, God, I remember saying, didn't God say, you know, don't have 1 foot in and 1 foot out? And so I was just like, can all my feet be out? And I'll come back when I bring them all in.
You were ready to go.
I was just,
you were like,
I just thought I'd rather be real and honest, and like, I don't want to be here, guys. I'm not feeling it right now. I'm feeling like God's pretty strict. I'm feeling like my parents are strict. I'm feeling like the whole world's against me. I'm obviously speaking as a teenager with all the emotions and hormones. Oh my gosh, dramatic. Like shush, but you know what I mean? Like I just felt like the whole world is against me. The youth ministry is watching me like a hawk. I used to go to youth, and then as soon as everyone got into the building, I'd just take off. And I'd be like, I'm going. So I don't know if you heard about this club. It was called Club 720, and it was just for teenagers. So no alcohol.
I think I remember that in town. Yeah.
It was literally by chipmunks.
I do remember there being like a non-alcohol, kids could go.
Yeah, that lasted all of 5 minutes in the city because it was not, you just couldn't do it. But yeah, I remember running there and with some friends from youth who also didn't want to be there. So I was like, that's us, let's go. And then we'll come back when youth's done. They won't even know.
Our parents will pick us up.
Yeah, they'll pick us up and they'll be like, oh, how was youth? And I'll be like, great.
Extra great.
So good. Oh my gosh, I made so many new friends. Yeah, so I went there, and then I just remember seeing my youth leaders marching in, just like shoosh, marching in. And then I heard this one girl go, whoa, that lady looks angry. And immediately I was like, dang it.
You got caught.
I'm so caught, because what lady would walk in here angry and in my direction? And then it was my youth leader, and she was like, Samantha, you better get out here right now. And I was like, oh, you're so boring. I was like, you're not my mum. Yeah. Anyway.
Was that kind of like the final straw.
When I was 16, legally, you could move out of home. So as soon as I turned 16, I was like, see ya.
Wow.
And I literally packed all my stuff and I left. And the boy who I liked as a teenager is the boy that I was like, okay, let's go and move in together and do all the things that I'm not supposed to be doing right now. And so because I was raised in a home with a marriage, you know, like my mum and dad are married, so I thought, okay, well, so I love you, you love me, so we're supposed to be together forever now. Even though that was not godly at all. You know, that wasn't rebellious. That wasn't like, not at all God at all. So in my 16-year-old little brain, I was like, we're going to go live together now and be so big and growing in adults and work and live, and it's going to be great. And we don't have to have Jesus if we don't want to, because there's people out there that don't have him. This is my brain. And they're doing all right. Like there's doctors and lawyers out there.
Yeah.
And they don't have Jesus. So in my brain, I was like, so bye. And so I just packed my little bags and I was like, see you later. And the world slapped me right in the face. Just to cut a long story short, the world literally, and I was shooketh, and I was like, wow, sis thought she knew. She didn't.
Wow. That's a hard lesson to learn at 16.
No, but do you know what? Because I was so stubborn, I was like, it's okay. Just get back up and get back up and get back up. And I just, So my auntie, my mum's sister, so my mum so there's 4 girls, so my mum's the oldest. And the sister that's the third oldest, who is one of my fave aunties. Actually, they're all my fave aunties. But at the time when I'm 16 and this is the auntie that's like, come and live with me, I'll look after you. I was like...
Because where were you guys living? Just... with his parents, or?
No, I lived with my auntie and he lived with his grandparents.
Okay, so when you packed your bags at 16,
your
auntie said, you can live with me.
Yeah. And then, but like just to have the freedom now, because I'm like, I get to go see my boyfriend now. You know, like I don't have to tell my mum and dad anything because I'm independent now. And I was working as well, so I worked at a job. I worked at Warehouse Stationery. And so I was working... going to school, paying things that I needed to, and doing everything when I wanted to, because it was my life. So in my brain, I was like, this is my life. And at the time also, so before, like fast forward back, I was homeschooled for a little bit as well, from the age of 12 till 15. And then I said to my mum, I want to go to school now. And I felt that way because I was going to youth and I felt in church and I felt like everyone was going to school, had so many things to talk about, and I was just like, I had nothing. And so I almost felt left out. But what I could have done, or what I should have done, is felt like, I'm so cool, I'm set apart, I don't have any of that drama, I don't even care what you guys are talking about. But instead I was like, what's the goss? What is going on? Please tell me. I want to be in it. And then I said to my mum, I want to go to school, like I'm missing out. I could learn. Like I was literally trying to, run that story, like I'm missing out on education that you're not giving me. I can do this, Mum. I tried to sell the spiel and
I can just imagine you just like pitching this to your mum.
I was pitching hard. I was like, honestly, Mum, I'll get myself to school. I work. And my mum was like, well, then you can pay for it. And I said, hard out, like easy. How much? Like I've got money. And my mum was really good with our finance, like with what I earned as well. So I had savings. I had all the things that I needed, in my finances. So I was like, cool. And so then my mum was like, and also I'm picking the school you go to. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's ruining my plan because I know what school I want to go to.
Yeah.
And so, I went to, I picked Lakes High. So I was like, okay, Mum, can we go to Lakes High? So she was like, okay, we'll go have a look at that school. And then she saw boys and girls holding hands and she was like, not that school. And I was literally like ready because I had gone to Makoya. So I was like, yes, I know people at Lakes. So I went there and then my mum was like to the principal, excuse me, do you not say anything to those boys and girls holding hands? And then the principal was like, well, no, because I can't walk around the whole school saying don't hold hands. I'll be out there all day. My mum goes, okay, well, goodbye. And I was like, oh, he could have just lied. He could have just said yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, hard out, I'll tell them. No, he was like, no, sorry. And I was like,
And Sam's plans were ruined.
Yeah, I was like, Mr. whatever your name is, you just ruined it. And because I was walking through the school seeing all my friends in the class and I was like waving at them.
Man,
like,
your little teenage heart was
like, I'll
breaking.
see you tomorrow, you know?
Man.
You know, when you're so excited for you to see your friends. Yeah. Anyway, so then we were like, okay, so we went to girls and then my year. So because I was homeschooled, I was, you know, I'd learnt a lot, so I was smart. And so my year was full. So all the smart classes that I should have been in, like the accelerate classes, they couldn't fit me in. So I went into the low class and I sat there and then I left and I wagged and no one even noticed.
So you were paying to go to your own high school.
Yes. And I bought my uniform.
Bought your uniform yourself with your money. Then you end up going to school and then you wag. Because...
I did, because I was like, oh, what am I even doing here? Like the teacher's talking. So this is another thing that shook me about life out there because I was at home, is that the teacher's talking and the girls are like playing their, like, you know, their speaker and on their phones.
Yeah.
And the teacher's like, pull out your maths books. But it's almost like if I pull my maths book out, they're listening to music and so are they, then I'm going to be the only one.
Yeah.
Then I'll probably get bullied because I'm going to look like a nerd. So no way I'm pulling out my books. I'm leaving. Yeah. So I was so easily like influenced as well, which is so annoying.
And look, that's something we all still can wrestle with.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So I just left and I had a friend there. She had a car and she was like, here's my keys, go sit in the car. And I was like, yay, thank you so much, because I can't bear to be in there. But inside I actually was like, oh, was looking forward to learning something. But yeah. So then anyway, my mum found out. So that lasted a week.
Oh, just a week.
No, I think maybe 4 days, not even that long. And I knew some friends there too. So I was like, oh, okay, well, at least I know 1 or 2 people. That makes me happy. So then she was like, you're not going to that school. So then we went to JPC. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I really don't know anyone here at all. Like no one that I know goes here. Not anyone cool anyway. So there's me thinking like, no one cool goes to the school. Who am I going to talk to here? And then I went there and there's cameras, you know, like there's cameras up there. They literally watch you.
Wow.
Like a hawk. The uniform was like $1,400.
And did you have to pay for that as well?
Like, what?
Wow.
I was rich. And my mum was like, yeah, $1,400, blah, blah. And I got like all the things and I would have been 5th form.
Wow.
Yeah, so year 11. And and then I literally went there and I sat on the side, not knowing anyone, like so upset. But the classrooms were so mean, like as in like good. Like no one spoke. You could hear a pencil drop. Like when the teacher's talking, you know, everyone's head down. And I was like, oh, this is actually something that is good for me. I should listen now and learn.
I can learn.
I can learn, yeah. Yeah, that didn't last very long.
How long did you stay there?
Well, I stayed there for a year, but then I started making friends. Yeah, and so I not
good friends?
Not good friends.
Oh,
well, in saying that, they're good people now. Now that we're adults, but I just friends that were keen to wag as well. And so the cameras would watch you and they'll be like, that's us, let's run out. And I'll be like, okay, we're running. And then I had one good friend who was like, no, don't do that. Who's one of my good friends today. Bless
her.
Yes. Hello, Kimiota. And she just would never wag. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, come on. And she's like, no way. Like, no. So she was a really, really good friend. Yeah, never wanted to do anything. And so I was like, okay, well, good to know that you're there. Like, thank you. And I'm just going to go to these friends instead. And so the whole year was spent in just being silly and unwise. And I think it was because I was out of my home now. So being homeschooled, obviously feeling the way that I'm feeling as an emotional teenager. Yeah. I was just like, actually, every time I go to school now, I'm just going to have fun. Yeah. And I'm just probably going to listen as much as I can and then probably not. I'm going to go and do things I shouldn't. I'm going to wag. One time I went with friends and I said, ring up and pretend that my mum's sick and that I've got to go home. And then my mum messaged me and she was like, wow, Samantha, you just lied and said that I was sick so you could wag. Wow. And I was like, sorry? Sorry then? Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's not a big deal. You're not sick. Yeah. So I was just it's definitely like a selfish child, a 16-year-old, yeah. But I talked to my mum about it the other day because my mum and dad are great parents, and they just said, like, we parented you differently, and now we know. So they were like, we should have did this and did this. But now that I'm a mum, I'm like, actually, I'm navigating that same thing with my own child. Like, my son's going to be 14, and I'm like, okay, your attitude looks like similar. I've seen that attitude, and it was like mine, you know?
no.
So sometimes I'm like, okay. But thankfully, my husband is like the calm. He's like such a good, peaceful parent. And so I can sometimes react in emotions, and my husband can be like, we'll just chat to him, babe. And I'm like, chat to him? Are we going to chat loudly? And he's like, no, we don't have to do that. And I'm like, oh, man, thank goodness, you know. So I'm like, man, I'm still trying to navigate. You know, even my daughter going to be 12, and I already, like, 12 was when my emotions peaked, and I was like,
Yeah.
So sometimes I'm like, hey, but my husband was like, don't expect it to happen, babe. We don't need to expect that. That's parenting in fear. But yeah, sometimes I'm like, okay, well, it's probably that time of the month. I'm not always like this. No. I'm usually on. I'm usually sharp. No. So my husband's like, it's going to be all good. So I'm just like, actually, it's so true. And now my mum, she's so good. She's like, I reckon do this, you know, with your son, or do this with your daughter. Don't do those things that I did. Don't yell at them. Don't say you have to. They don't have to do. Don't do that. And so another thing as a teenager, because I sung as well, so my mum put me into singing lessons and also piano lessons, and so in church, it's like whatever gift you have, you're using it. And so I was told, like, you're singing now, you're in the music team, you're in all the ministries, any ministries.
Was that during that rebellious time?
Yeah, so pretty much before I turned 16 and moved. So before all that, yeah. And so, yeah, my mum was just like, don't do that to your son. Don't be like, your gift is there, now get on there and use it.
Yeah.
No, you don't have to do that anymore. You don't have to do that at all. Yeah, so me singing just for Mother's Day, just gone, that was huge, because I literally felt myself think about how I was 14 and I was singing Absolute Abstinence song. And I sang to, like, the whole church was packed. So me and our youth band at the time, and we did Absolute Abstinence when I was 14, 13, and the whole church was packed, like, to the, like, no seats. And so now here I am, 33, singing. It's just a different, like, I felt forced then. I felt like I didn't really care what I was singing. But now here as an adult, I was saying about thanking God because He saved me. Oh my gosh, it's such an emotional song. I don't know if you know Mosaic band, but they worship. Yeah, but their song is about, this is why I thank the Lord for saving me when I was weak.
Yeah, I know that song.
And so
it's a powerful song.
Yeah, so when I'm singing it, I'm just like thinking about all the times where I sang and I felt like forced, or felt like, it just wasn't. But this time I'm singing because I genuinely know and have experienced God's goodness. Like, He actually has saved me. So that's why I'm like, oh, singing's different now. It's different. You're more mature, I think, in Christ. Yeah. I totally just went off a whole different side.
It's fine. Yeah. No, it's great.
Yeah.
So how did it go from rebellious teenager to now here you are, as you say, 33, loving the Lord in church? Coming up next week on the Outside of Sunday podcast.
I'm going out drinking. I'm clubbing. We're drinking Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We're just doing unwise things. I'm going to work. We're still drunk, and then I'm going home, and then we're doing it all over again. And I think it was like, that twisted thought that, like, I'm having fun out here because I get to do whatever I want and I get to be the boss of myself. But really, I'm in pain, I'm hurt, it's so ugly, it's sad. So that's why I was like, actually, if I just keep having a good time, let's just keep going to numb all that.
Hey, thanks again for listening to this episode of the Outside of Sunday podcast. If something made you laugh or cry or think a little deeper, please give this episode a like and leave us a comment. Your feedback blesses us, and we want to bless you right back. So every comment automatically goes in the draw for our monthly giveaway. Who knows, I might even read your comment out in a future episode. And hey, sharing is caring, so don't forget to let somebody you know about this podcast. Outside of Sunday is part of the Outsider Network and is made with the help of Inspirational Media.